The symbolism of the fountain. Water in all mystic systems means spirit. If received in the form of symbolic rivers and streams or waterfalls, it can signify the receipt of direct spiritual input. See our video on rivers and streams. Perhaps it is received as symbolic rain. See the video Rain. But these symbols describe spiritual input, received from outside our own mind, inspiration and wisdom, for example. But spirit can also be received that symbolically rises from inner reserves, built up by us as opposed to falls. This energy contains no symbolic fish, meaning you won't get any new inspiration or novel ideas from it, but it can be used during purification. See the video on purification, which is either long and drawn out and expressed symbolically using the well. See the video on well. Or it may be rather dramatic and symbolically represented using a fountain. If it's in the form of a fountain, however, it denotes a kundalini experience. As long as a considerable amount of purification has already been done, there is a symbolic rushing of energy up the Sushumna virtual stream. The two Ida and Pingala streams are avoided as the energy rises and flows through the subconscious mind, then the conscious mind, and onward to the crown chakra, and thereby makes you into a queen or king, symbolically speaking. In the majority of mystic movements, there were techniques that enabled a person to conserve energy in virtual ponds or lakes within their own bodies, and then further techniques that then released this energy in a controlled way. The techniques are there in the majority of Eastern systems, and much of the symbolism and techniques of the Western system are shared with the East. It is also notable that they are there in Judaism and the Kabbalah, where the process of invoking a kundalini experience was called the water drawing ceremony. The Rig Veda. Make the buckets ready and fasten the straps well. We want to draw water from the fountain that is easy to draw water from, flowing freely, inexhaustible. I draw water from the fountain whose buckets are in place, with good straps, easy to draw water from, freely flowing and inexhaustible. Springs versus fountains. Symbolically, spring water falls like rain, but for it to flow easily and regularly, our crown chakra has to be already open. If we sit quietly and meditate, still the conscious mind and remove sensory diversions, then spirit input can be received, but this can take time. A person whose crown chakra has been symbolically opened, however, by a fountain which has risen up by its own force, cleaning chakras en route, is much more likely to get inspiration and show wisdom, whatever the circumstances. Once the connection has been made, it is permanent. All that is needed is that every effort is made by behaving ethically to keep the channels open. Hazrat Inayat Khan, The Art of Being and Becoming. Spring water is most healing and most inspiring because it comes from above and runs downhill. That is the character of the inspired mind, the heart that, like a spring, pours out water in the form of inspiration, in poetry or music or some other form, has beauty. It has a healing quality. It can take away all the worries and anxieties and difficulties and troubles of those who come to it. Like the water of the spring, it not only inspires, but it heals. But there is also a sort of fountain that rises and falls in so many drops. This is man-made. When man has made a personality of himself, then the feeling that rises from the heart through that personality is like a fountain. Each drop falling from it takes the form of a virtue. Springs and fountains go together. When the spring fails, the fountain is needed. When the fountain fails, the spring is needed. And both benefit from the careful use of the well. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, From Hymn to the Night. From the cool cisterns of the midnight air, my spirit drank repose. The fountain of perpetual peace flows there, from those deep cisterns flows. Topping up. This extract from the Sahar shows how very complementary all these water management systems are, symbolically. Receive the inklings of an idea by your own symbolic fountain, and you may be able to do nothing with it, unless you have been given greater understanding by spirit input from the sea. Zohar 2, 42b, translated by Gershom Shalom, Wisdom. And he shaped a vessel, diminutive as the letter Yod, and filled it from him, and called it Wisdom, gushing fountain, and called himself wise on its account. And after he fashioned a large vessel named Sea, and designated it Understanding, Binah, and himself Understanding on its account. Both wise and understanding is he, in his own essence, whereas wisdom in itself cannot claim that title, but only through him who is wise and has made it full from his fountain. And so understanding in itself cannot claim that title, but only through him who filled it from his own essence, and it would be rendered into an aridity if he were to go from it. The fountain as a symbol of the kundalini experience. We saw in the video on ponds, lakes and pools that by correct living, ethical behaviour and good food, one can build up a symbolic store of water, a store that is then the source of inner reserves. Lao Tzu, Tao Te Ching. The spirit of the fountain dies not. It is called the mysterious feminine. The divinity of the mysterious feminine is called the root of heaven and earth. Lingering like gossamer, it has only a hint of existence, and yet, when you draw on it, it is inexhaustible. Between heaven and earth, there seems to be a bellows. It is empty, and yet it is inexhaustible. The more it works, the more comes out of it. No amount of words can fathom it. Better look for it within you. In a sense, when you think you are at your last, that all will to go on has ceased, and no obvious help from heaven seems to be apparent, one might find that you have within you the will to go on, and the supply of this energy is inexhaustible. It doesn't trickle away down the drains of your soul. It stays and recycles and restores. Or as W.H. Auden said, in the deserts of the heart, let the healing fountain start. In the prison of his days, teach the free man how to praise. The Fountains of Youth. Finally, it is worth adding that although springs and rain refresh, providing new ideas and new inspiration, it is the fountain within that keeps you looking young and keeps you active. A boost of healing energy from outside your mind may help to give you a much-needed boost when reserves are low, but in the end it is the gentle trickle of your own fountain of energy that keeps you young and active. Lyle Watson, The Water Planet. Some waters were always seen to be more beneficial than others. Every folklore has its fountain of youth or its well of knowledge. The healing pool of Bethesda in Jerusalem, the great saliva lake of the Tang emperors, the moon-washing spring in Japan. Places for taking the water cure. The Holy Sepulchre in early Christian liturgy is described as the fountain of life and resurrection. When Quetzalcoatl sails out to sea in a raft of snakes, he heads for the country of the sun, where he finds and drinks the water of immortality.